What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host Donovan Quick, and with the franchise tag window just opening up, we're going to be talking about Christian Wilkins. Should we sign him to a long-term contract? Should we let him walk, or should we tag him? And there's three different types of tags that we could use. Christian Wilkins, Chris Grier said it back in January. He bet on himself, right? He didn't sign the contract that was offered, and the Dolphins felt like they made a very fair offer to him last offseason. He bet on himself, had a career-high 9 sacks. That was 9th amongst defensive tackles, and, he was just an absolute beast. I believe, per PFF, he was top 10 in overall defensive tackles, and I think he was kind of near top 5. I don't think he was quite top 5, but he bet on himself, and it worked. And Chris Grier said back in January also, he deserves to be a free agent. He earned the right to be a free agent. Now, he earned the right. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to give him that right, And now I'm going to go over kind of like what I think is least likely to happen to the most likely to happen. Least likely to happen, I think, is the transition tag. It's seldom used because it allows the player to sign with other teams, but it does allow for like a sign and trade deal, similar to what we did with Jarvis Landry back in 2018. We transition tagged him, he signed the offer sheet, and then we traded him for a 4th and 7th round pick to the Browns. I don't want to be reminded of this anymore, so I'm just going to move on. But with that, it's $15.8 million that would be paid to Christian Wilkins in the very first year, so it could allow him to be in the sign and trade deal, but it's little used for a reason. It allows someone to go and sign with other teams or sign an offer sheet, but the Dolphins have a chance to match, of course, but then we don't get any compensation if we choose not to match. Now, if we choose to match, then negotiations begin on trade talks. So it's not used because it's so complicated, right? And I don't think it's going to be used here. Plus, whatever. I think the second least likely option, I think, is going to be an exclusive tag, right? An exclusive tag is going to, we don't know the exact price of it, but it's going to be the average of the top 10 caps at the position, top 10 cap hits at the position. Now, we're not going to know that until the first wave of free agency, and then it's just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher, because as we know, each offseason, someone's going to get paid, and it's going to go higher and higher and higher. So that, I think, I don't think that we're going to tag him with an exclusive tag. I think that is kind of the least second least likely option behind the transition tag, because I don't think the Dolphins are in a pretty crappy position with cap this offseason. We need to be under the cap by the start of free agency, and currently we're $52 million over the cap, and we need to be under that by March 5th. So, or the start of free agency, so March 10th, I believe. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, having that 20 million cap hit on top of that, so you're going over to 72 million, so now you have to clear 72 million off the roster. I just don't see that happening. It's just not going to happen, That's why I don't think that's an option. Now, I think what is an option, and I think the second most likely option, is going to be the non-exclusive tag. Now, we did see this last year with Lamar Jackson. This is kind of like, okay, look, go and see what you're going to get for yourself elsewhere. Like, see who's going to pay you and see how much they're going to pay you. The benefit of this for the Dolphins is that if he does sign somewhere and we choose not to match them, we get 2 first-round picks. So I do think that that's an option. And, obviously there's a sign and trade deal among that, because if we sign him, I believe it's the average, it's projected to be 20.9 million. So there could be a sign and trade with that. It's a little bit more complicated, but that's an option, right? So that allows for a little bit more negotiation. That allows for us to actually get something that's a little bit better than maybe a transition tag, a non-exclusive tag. It's very similar, except that we have all the leverage and we can be like, oh, you want him? Okay, cool. Give us 2 first-round picks. Now you don't want to give him 2 first-round picks? Okay, cool. Let him come back to us. We'll negotiate. He's going to get paid the 20.9 million the first year, and we're going to negotiate a trade. We're going to get second round, third round, second and third. Who knows? That's why I think it's the second most likely option, because it allows for us to have all the control in the relationship, right? Now, the most likely option, and I think it gets done, a long-term extension. If you look at the 3 biggest deals last offseason, Deron Payne, Dexter Lawrence, Quinnen Williams, every single one of them had a cap hit of below $10 million last season. The very first year of their contracts, they had a cap hit of less than $10 million in their first year on the contract. Having that financial flexibility and pushing that money further down, that is what this team has been doing. Now, look, it's going to come to bite us in the ass eventually. But Ross seems to be just like, hey, move the money down. We'll take care of it when that time comes. But I want the best team possible. I want the best talent possible on this field, because I want to see a Super Bowl before I die. And that's Ross's mentality, So I think Ross has a lot of that control there. And you give him a big signing bonus. You get Ross has been paying. And now look, there is an extent to how much the cap is fake, right? There is an extent to that, because Teron Armstead, for instance, do you really want to go out there and transition his $20 million or $25 million into $5 million, and you want to give him 20 guaranteed up front when you know he's going to be missing games, when you know he's not going to play a full season, when you know he's not going to be reliable? There's an extent to that. We've seen it. Now, I don't think this is going to happen, but we've seen it where athletes get paid and then they just check out. We've seen it. Kenny Golladay is a massive guy with that, Now, we've seen it pay off. We've seen Kirk Cousins' first ever fully guaranteed contract. That paid off. So there is, we just got to make sure that these guys have the right mentality, the right work ethic. It's not just all about the money, but they want to go out there and win. They want to go and cement their legacy. They want to play for something. I think Wilkins is that guy. So I'm perfectly fine with handing him some money, and he's just out there having fun. That's what he is. You watch every video of him, he's just having a good time. He's out there having a good time. Time of his life. He's going to go in there, work hard, and he wants a championship. We saw that when Clemson won the Super Bowl, when they won the national championship, he did that split. When he came into the NFL, he was asked, will you be doing that split again? He said, when we win the Super Bowl. I want to see Christian Wilkins do that split in a Dolphins uniform. I think that's the most likely option. Now, there also is letting him walk. Just completely let him go out and test free agency. Not signing him at all, not taking that cap hit. And, I can understand. Because we also have guys like Raekwon Davis, guys like Andrew Van Ginkel, that we can probably sign Andrew Van Ginkel and Raekwon Davis for less combined. And David Long Jr. for that matter. We could actually, those 3 combined probably would take the hit that Christian Wilkins would. So you got to think money wise. Would you rather have Andrew Van Ginkel, David Long Jr., and Raekwon Davis, or would you rather just have Christian Wilkins? And look, I love Christian Wilkins. If he resigns a long-term contract, I'm getting his jersey. It's a done deal. I don't know if that happens. Now, I hope it happens, but you also have to look at it. You have to separate yourself a little bit as a fan and be like, we can't pay everyone. We can't. The Vikings are in that very situation right now. They're trying to find a way to pay Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Danielle Hunter. It's not going to happen. So would you rather pay for the 3 guys that are can contribute in a big way? Look, we're going to probably start next year without both Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb's probably out until near Thanksgiving. I would say almost very similar to Jalen Phillips, because he literally tore his Achilles on Black Friday. Achilles injuries, ACL injuries are easier to come back from than Achilles injuries. But you want to, like 9 months, okay, you're back on the field, but you don't have that same burst. So would you rather have Andrew Van Ginkel out there, who already knows a lot of the players, can be an absolute monster in this new defense that Anthony Weaver is going to put in? It's not going to be a 3-4, 4-3. It's going to be a very hybrid defense, very similar actually to what Flores was running, and kind of the base of it is going to be what the Ravens were running. Those are 2 very good defenses. 2 very good defenses. So I am excited to see how Anthony Weaver's defense, comes out and plays. Vic Fangio's defense, they were very defensive line oriented. Now, our defensive line, they balled out last year. Chubb had over 10 sacks. I'm not sure what Phillips had, but he was a monster. I think he had 2 sacks in the Jets game, and then that he got hurt in. Wilkins had 9. Zach Sealer had over 10. Like, that's 30 sacks from 3 guys, probably close to 40 with 4 guys. And then Van Ginkel had like 6 or 7 sacks himself. It was a very good defense and a very good defensive line last year, with Christian Wilkins out on that field. Could we see a change? You tell me. Put it in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. What should the Dolphins do? I'm kind of torn. I'm torn between signing him to a long-term deal and non-exclusive tag. Those are my 2 options that I personally would do. I wouldn't let him walk for free. I definitely want to get something out of him if he does walk. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Deuces.